Good evening. My name is Chukwemeka. Today I want to talk about the Dibia. I'll talk about what a Dibia is, what a Dibia does, and what a Dibia can do. I'll also touch on the ignorance displayed by most Igbos today, and why we no longer even respect Dibias, and why we must start doing that again as part of our salvation as a people. First of all, let me point out that I am not a Dibia, and no one in my lineage was a Dibia to the best of my knowledge. So, what I'm going to share with you today is a result of the research I did discussing with Dibias. I met a number of people that are Dibias, had conversation with them, and it is the product of that conversation that I'll be sharing with you today. Some of you who are Dibias, or whose fathers are Dibias, or whose relations are Dibias, will understand what I'm saying. And I do hope that especially if you're a Hebrew out there, if you're an Igbo out there, you understand what I am saying and you can contribute to it too. Because I can never give the maximum limit of knowledge when it comes to Dibia. Now, a Dibia is, the English translation for it is a native doctor. But that translation is actually very, very limited because it does not cover the range of activities that can be performed by someone whose career is being a Dibia. A Dibia is not only a doctor, he's a healer, he's a divinator, he is a prophet, primarily a prophet. In fact, the number one thing most Igbos go to visit a Dibia is prophecy. And of course, if you read the Bible, if you read the Old Testament Bible, you realize that that's the number one thing that Dibias are doing. Prophecy. In the Bible, they were called prophets, but actually they are Dibias. That's why before you go to war in the Bible, they will first of all meet a prophet to prophesy. That what they are doing is simply Ibafa. Before they go to war, Ibafa means to go and find out. To go and find out. And the Dibia has that responsibility. So the Dibia is a prophet. He's a healer. He's not only a doctor, he's a healer. And the reason there's a difference between a doctor and a healer, because doctors nowadays with their lab coat, they don't heal anything. They don't heal anyone. They just manage your symptoms. But this is not about them. This is about the Igbo Dibia. So the Dibia is all these things, all in one. For generations, for thousands of years, the health of our people, the well-being of our people, the existence of our people, the organization of our communities was handled by one discipline alone, and that discipline is called the Dibia. If you have issues with anyone, if you're trying to find out anything that's going on, if there's an internal dispute, if there's a global war, if there's an epidemic, if there's some kind of natural disaster, it is the Dibia that is looked up to. And the Dibias of those generations, they have always stood up to their task. You come and meet them that this is going on. They will consult the Most High. They will prophesy to you and tell you what to do and what not to do. That is what a Dibia does. The Dibia is next to God. And this is a direct quote from one of the Dibias I discussed with. He said, and I quote, "The Dibia is next to God." If you talk about the Most High, after the Most High, you're talking about the Dibia. Because the powers that the Most High has transferred to his people, he transferred it to the Dibias. And the Dibia can do wonders and miracles, both for good and for bad. The Dibia understands that his powers should only be used for good, but nothing stops the Dibia from using it for evil. However, if the Dibia uses it for evil, he will suffer the consequences later, even in his life or even after his death. He will suffer the consequences. You know some people whose parents were Dibias and their life is just completely messed up. It's because their parents has used their powers for the evil things, for something wrong. And that's why it shows even in the life of the children. And sometimes reparation are required for the evil that the parents have committed, depending on the degree of the evil. The Dibia is next to God. A Dibia can heal you just with water, just fetching water and use that water to heal you. A Dibia can also poison you with that same water. A Dibia can make the pen you're holding turn to fire. A Dibia can also heal you with that fire. Dibias don't have magical powers, because anything that has to do with magic is Satanism. But according to the Dibias I discussed with, the power of the Dibia is in the word. Children of the Most High, listen to what I said. The power, and this is a direct quote from the Dibias I discussed with. The power of the Dibia is in the word, the Dibia says. It's not in the regalia in his tabernacle. It's not in the white clothes or the red clothes or the blood that he smears on anything. It's not in the ogene, the metal gong he hits, or the chaka, or whatever they used to, what they used to, Ibafa, what they used to prophesy. It's not in those. It's in the word. When the right Dibia have the right materials and say the right words, wonders begin to happen immediately. That power has been bestowed on the Dibia. The right people who know this, they use it. The Dibia is in direct communication with different dimensions, the spirit world, the living world. The Dibia is in direct communication. A Dibia can be sleeping now, and he will be asked to wake up at a specific time and be asked in his dream to go to a specific place and do so and so things, and something will happen. The life of a Dibia is a life of sacrifice. It bleeds my heart. It makes me mad when I see people, even people coming to my Facebook page to insult the Dibias, that they are worshipping the devil. Look, brothers and sisters, I really wish we have a course in secondary school on Satanism. I wish that instead of learning Christian religious knowledge, we learn Satanism, because people need to understand what Satan is. If people understand what Satan is, what Satanism is, they will know that the Dibia is nowhere near a Satan worshipper. When you have your witches and wizards as your musicians, people who are warlocks, devil worshippers as your musician, you are dancing to those tunes. You don't know that you are worshipping the devil just by listening to music. And you have the effrontery to insult a prophet of the Most High as devil worshipper. It is the Dibia, children of the Most High. It is the Dibia that will be in his farm or maybe in his house trying to sleep, and maybe a child is having convulsion in those days, and they will run to the Dibia. The Dibia will leave whatever he's doing and go and save the life of that child. And today, the descendants of that child are calling the Dibia devil worshippers. It bleeds my heart. When I was young, brothers and sisters, when I was a child, when I was like, 6 years old, we were in the farm, and there was a child that was extremely sick. He was actually rolling his eyes and closing his teeth, like, just convulsion and stuff, something like that. And they called this Dibia that was, his farm was even farther than our own, where we were, because the people that ran to call him passed through our farm, and I saw that. And this Dibia, an old man, very old man, left what he was doing, left his children in the farm, ran there to help this child, to save the life of this child. Did I mention that Dibias are not paid for what they do? How many doctors will you go and call whatever they are doing today? How many doctors will you go and call, oh, there's a child dying, and that doctor will not charge you 1 million naira for even touching that child? But we say that doctors are of God, but Dibias are of Satan. People that receive zero payment for their work. Their work is their life calling is a life of servitude. They are called to serve the people of the Most High, and they do that. There are Dibias who will not sleep all night because they are going from one house to the other house to the other house. They will take care of maybe some old lady with rheumatism. They will take care of this child with sickle cell. They are doing this and that. All of this for zero pay. After doing this, they still have to go to their farms and look for a means of livelihood for their own children. Today, we have the effrontery to call these people devil worshippers. Meanwhile, we are dancing and singing to Rihanna. We are dancing and watching all kinds of Hollywood devil programs that this Zionists bring to us. The children of the devil himself bring to us. And we are calling the children of the Most High, who served our ancestors for generations, we are calling them devil worshippers. Okay, let me show you something. Because most people don't know that devil worshipping comes in different forms. And I have said this on multiple occasions. These are Europeans. It's Europeans. The devil you know today is the God of the Europeans. When the Europeans say God, they're talking about the devil. The devil is the God of the Europeans. Okay? And they have so many gods. Okay? It has nothing to do with the God of Abraham. Now, let's take a look at this picture. This is this lady here. She's an actress. Her name is whatever her stupid name is, Amber Tamblyn, right? Don't she look nice? She looks like a nice person. Most of you have actually watched movies she is in. Here she is with her husband, right? But take a look at what she said, the message she sent on her Twitter account. Okay? Take a look at the message she sent on her Twitter account, calling on her fellow witches. People, brothers and sisters, if you see this girl on TV, or let's say you see her on the street, will you call her a witch? No, you will not. But if you see a Dibia doing his thing, worshipping the God of Abraham, you will say he's a witch, he's a devil worshipper. If you see this girl, no, you won't call her a witch. You even want to go and marry her, whatever disgusting she looks. But yes, this is her tweet, calling on her fellow witches, saying that they should protect one Asia Argento. Now, this Asia Argento is also an actress, so let's look at her. This is her. Yeah. Anybody see this thing, would they say, oh no, this is devil worshipping? No, but it is pure devil worship. This is what devil worshipping look like. So when people come to my channel or to my Facebook page calling Dibias devil worshippers, you see how annoying it gets for me. Because these people, number one, they don't know what they're talking about. At all. They don't know what they're talking about. And they're saying it with so much confidence. I mean, look at these people. Look at. Take a look at what they're doing. This is real devil worship. It's heavily disguised. It's only people who understand that Europeans, these people are the real devil worshippers. These are the people that actually brought in the devil. We don't know anything called devil here in Africa. They are the ones that brought it. So if we don't know anything called devil, why will our Dibias worshiping devil that they don't know? It's the Europeans that brought church to you. They are the ones that brought devil. They are the ones that brought devil. Take a look at all these things, devil worship. This is an expression in worship of the devil. For those who don't know, you let your children watch Mickey Mouse, watch cartoons. How many cartoons that depict things like this? You let your children watch them, and you call the Dibias who worship the God of Abraham, who offer burnt sacrifice to the God of Abraham, you call them devil worshippers. Anyway, ignorance has cost us so many things. Ignorance is killing our people, and it's really sad. So let's talk about the ignorance. Why will our people consider the Dibia as invalid? You see, according to Dibias, they will tell you that Dibia, just like every other career, has a specialization. There are Dibias who are specialized in prophecy. For instance, the things that Ezekiah did, or the prophet you call Ezekiel, the thing that Hezekiah did is not the same thing as Jeremiah did. It's not the same thing that Elijah did. Each of them are blessed with different things. Jeremiah, for instance, is blessed with prophecy. Okay? He can prophesy, he can see what's going to happen, and he'll tell you that. That's his specialization. DPS, why they can do a whole lot of things, there are specialization. So, a DPS that is specialized in prophecy may not be too well conversant with healing. And if he's the only one in that community, when there's something that requires healing, they will go and meet him and he will try his best. Sometimes it will work, sometimes it will not work. A DPS can be specialized in healing snake bites. He may not be too well versed in healing scorpion bites. He can try his best. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. But because of this, our people do not understand this. The ignorance displayed by our people when they go to a Dibia and it doesn't work, they're like, all Dibias are useless. They are totally useless. They are fraud. They keep saying this, and they say this in churches. I used to hear this in church and it pains me. I was an altar boy. I was just fuming because the priest was preaching this nonsense one day, because I know the sacrifices that DBS put in. As a child, I saw DBS putting lots and lots of sacrifice on their own. No payment. There were no tithe. Meanwhile, at the end of the day, we are the ones that will count the money for the priest to go home with. Meanwhile, he's not healing anybody. He's not curing anybody. He's not doing nothing. We are the ones as altar boys to count the money that he's packing away. Even as a teenager, I knew that there's something wrong here. This is the ignorance our people display. So let me explain that ignorance today. A Dibia is supposed to be a healer. There are Dibias who are specialized in healing. I remember when I was young, I broke my arm. I was taken to a community called Ufuma. And the Dibia there just used banana leaves and some bamboo, and my arm got better. If that thing happened to a child today, they will cut off that arm, because my bone was completely twisted. If it happened to a child today, they are cutting off that arm. But the Dibia just used banana leaf and bamboo. And I don't even know which arm we're talking about, because at that time I was like 4 or 5. I don't even know the arm right now. Nothing, no pain. You go to the hospital today, you're having diabetes, they're cutting off your leg. They are cutting that leg off. You're losing that leg. But you go to the DBA will take his time to heal you completely, inside out. And you go home. The DBA never say, okay, let's cut this. Or it never does that. And yet we're calling them devil worshippers. Now, let me see. If you go to a chemist shop, brothers and sisters, let's say you go to a chemist shop, a pharmacy store. You look at a section where they have, let's say they treat cold. You will see different drugs, pro-cold, whatever they have. All of them, they are there. Different drugs by different manufacturers. Why are we not saying that those people are quack? If they are so good in curing, why don't they have just one drug to cure the whole thing? That different drugs you're saying is equivalent to different Dibia. If you go to this Dibia and it turns out that that's not the specialization of that Dibia, you go to the next. The next may be specialized in it. If it doesn't work out, you go to the next. And that's exactly the same thing we do when we go to the pharmacy to buy drugs. If we buy a particular drug for catarrh or for cough and it doesn't work, we buy the next one. It doesn't work, sometimes we buy so many of them and one of them will work. Sometimes none of them work, actually, when it comes to cough and catarrh. None of them work. You just have to go and take your Bitagola or Nubu to cure yourself. But we don't call those people quacks. But when we go to 2 DBS and it doesn't work, we say the whole DBS is quack. Let me give you an example. There's this my father's friend, all right? He came to our house and he was talking about that he went to DBS one day and he was telling the DBS, asking the DBS about his father's sickness. And the DBS told him that his father is sick now, but his father will get better. I shouldn't worry, his father will get better. And he was just laughing in his mind because he knew, as at that time, his father was already dead. So the father that the DBS said will get better was already dead. And so he was now saying that all DBS are completely quack. That's what he was saying. Now, children of God, let us analyze what this Dibia said. First of all, the Dibia may not be specialized in prophecy, so he may not be able to see the future. But number two, it's also possible that the man he thought is his father may not be his real father. And the Dibia was seeing his real father that is still alive. We don't know. Okay, that's a possibility. But this same man, and that was the question I asked him when he was talking about this Dibia thing. This same man went to the hospital. He was sick. Did I mention this man is in his 60s? He went to the hospital. They did some tests. You know what they told him? They told him he had sickle cell. Yes. 60-something-year-old man has sickle cell. He said he nearly slapped the doctor that was telling him that. I said, really? So he nearly slapped the doctor? Does that mean that all doctors are bad? He said, no, that doctor is just stupid. Really? So when it comes to Dibia, when a Dibia gives you a wrong information, something you think is a wrong information, all DBS are bad. But when one doctor tells you that you have sickle cell, no, it's just that doctor. It's not the rest of the doctors. We have said this. We are not kind to our prophets. Even considering the fact that, do you know 50 years ago there were no hospitals in your community? Do you know 100 years ago there were no hospitals anywhere? How did you think the ancestors were not sick? You think they didn't fall sick? You think snakes did not bite them? Who was taking care of the Igbos when these things were happening? Who was taking care of your ancestors? It's the Dibia. And the Dibia were not being paid for that. They don't receive payment for what they do. Their life is a calling, and that's what they are called to do. But today, we have the effrontery. Instead of celebrating our healers, we have the guts to call them devil worshippers. Why wouldn't the Most High be annoyed with us? So this kind of ignorance has to stop. Children of God, how many of you have been to a Dibia before? How many of you have been to a Dibia? I will bet that most people listening to me now have never been to a Dibia. They've never stepped foot in a Dibia's house before. But they will be the first to go to church and say Dibias are devil worshippers. They have to wash by the blood of Jesus. They have to wash by the blood. Where was blood of Jesus when your ancestors were dodging bullets during the Biafra War? Where was your blood of Jesus when your ancestors were dying in the forest, in your community forests? Was it not the Dibias that took care of them? Was it not the servants of the Most High God, the Dibias of the Most High God, that took care of them? But the churches have come now and tell us, oh, DBS are this, DBS are that. I remember when I was young, they would do TV shows and be insulting DBS. They say, bring white chicken, bring white pan, bring white cloth, bring white this. Meanwhile, in the churches where they are telling you this nonsense, they have a white cloth on the altar. They have white chicken that was brought in there as gift. They have white money, white this and white that. And they will be insulting the DBS. How many DBS tell you to go and pay tithe to them? How many DBS do that? Let us open our eyes. We can't be in the water and soap is entering our eyes. These people are cheating us. I've said this so many times. I'm even tired of saying it. The deception goes very deep. Okay. Now let's look at the Bible and look at, maybe from the Bible we'll understand what the Dibia is and how to see the Dibia. Okay. Let's look at the Bible so that we'll get an understanding of what Dibia is. But before we do that, let me point out that I do not need the Bible to explain the Dibia. And I know that some people who have not seen my videos before and who do not understand the intent of my ministry will be wondering why I'm associating the Bible with Dibia. For the benefit of those who may be having such thoughts, let me point it out here that the Old Testament Bible and African traditional religion, especially the Igbo traditional religion, is one and the same. Let me say it again in case you didn't hear me. The Old Testament Bible and what we do in Africa, what our ancestors do in Africa, is the same thing. That is why whenever I give it a presentation like this, I try to go to the Old Testament to show you where it is in the Bible. And that's why our ancestors were doing that. So let me use the Bible to explain the Dibia to you. So even without hearing me say this, if you're reading the Old Testament Bible, Whenever they want to meet any of the prophet, they go and consult the prophet. It's the same thing as going to consult a Dibia today. Ideboafa. That's how we call it in Igbo language. Iboafa. Iboafa means to find out, to inquire. That is the exact same thing that is said of in the Bible. So when you read the Bible, you realize that people like Abraham was a Dibia. People like Ezekiah, the Dibia you call Ezekiel, was it the prophet you call Ezekiel, was a Dibia. People like Jeremiah was a Dibia. Elijah was a Dibia. Abraham, Aaron, okay, Dibia. These are Dibia. Even in Igbo land, we call a great Dibia. That's Arrow Binago, Arrow that lives in the wilderness. That's what it means. That's what they call Aaron. These are Dibias. So, but let's look at the book of 2 Chronicles chapter 18. It talks about Ahab, the king of the southern kingdom. The king of the northern kingdom, and then Jehoshaphat, the king of the southern kingdom. So Jehoshaphat went to meet Ahab, and Ahab said, "Let's go and attack Ramoth in Gilead." And Jehoshaphat said, "Yeah, sure, I'm with you. However, let us consult the Most High." In some Bible translation, it says, "Let us consult an oracle of the Lord." That is exactly the word used when you're going to a Dibia. Let us consult the God. Let us find out what the Most High has to say from the prophet. And so Ahab summoned 400, not one, not two prophets, not three, 400 prophets. Now, for those of you who will go to one Dibia and it will not work, and you say, this Dibia is bad, the Bible made it very clear that sometimes the Dibia can say things that may not come to pass. That is why in the Bible, Ahab summoned 400 of them. Not one, not two, 400. So it's not an exact science. It's not 1 plus 1 equals 2. Even 1 plus 1 is not always equals 2. So you see here in the Bible, they are summoning 400. And even after the 400 Dibias, the 400 prophets have given their prophecy, Jehoshaphat said, "Is there any other one that we're going to find?" Imagine 400 people. After the 400, Jehoshaphat said, "Let's find out for another one." That's what it's all about. It's not an exact science. Anybody who understands this knows that you have to find people who are specialized in what they are doing. Sometimes the DBS may not know that they are not specialized in a particular subject. That's what's happening here. And most people who read the Bible, they don't even understand this. Okay, that's 2 Chronicles chapter 18. If you go to Deuteronomy chapter 18, that's where the Most High said that sometimes a Dibia can say something presumptuously, and it's not what the Most High has told him. And we've seen this in the Bible. I've given an example with the prophet Nathan when King Jedidiah, the king that you call Solomon, when he was born, he was named Solomon, and the prophet was like, "Oh yeah, that's a good name." But when he went home, the Most High told him to go back and rename that child Jedidiah, because that's not supposed to be his name. And he went back and renamed King Jedidiah instead of the Solomon that most people call him now. So that's it. Sometimes the DBA can say things presumptuously and it will not come to pass. The Most High said that in the scriptures. And again, the funny thing is this is the funny part of this whole thing. Most of these people who are insulting DBS, their pastors don't say anything. Their pastors give fake prophecies all the time. I mean, the Pope doesn't even come out and say anything again because he knows that he's just like, he is the vicar of Christ. He's the one that represents Christ. All right, come and talk now. Let's see if Christ will speak through you. In 2015, for instance, the pastor of Redeemed Church gave so many prophecies. He said that will be the best year in Nigeria, that those people that don't have will have. There will be miraculous completion of projects, blah, blah, blah. That was 2015. That it will be the best year in history in Nigeria. He said internationally that things like Ebola will die out. Even though, I don't know why God didn't tell him that Ebola is a manufactured disease. Anybody that has any brains will know that Ebola was manufactured in the lab. But apparently his God did not tell him that. So, but we all know that 2015 was the worst year in the history of Nigeria. That was the year that the Nigerian Naira rose to almost 400 Naira to $1. That was the year that the economy was so bad that people were just looking for a way to get out. People were jumping into boats, going to anywhere just to get out of this country. That's the year that this man, this fraud, said it's going to be the best year according to God. So apparently, there's a missing. Did God tell him that? Did God tell him that that will be the year of completion of project? Which project did he complete? Well, it wasn't his worst year for him anyway. He's still getting his tithe from stupid Igbo people that are going to be paying tithe to him. He's still getting all the money he wants. So apparently the prophecy is correct for himself and for his pocket. But this is the kind of stupidity we see when all these quacks, all this fraud come to take money from our people and insult the servant of the Most High in the process. So let's look at the Bible. Let's see if from the Bible we can see what a Dibia looks like. Because the Bible was clear on what a Dibia, a prophet, should look like, what a prophet should do. Let's look at the Bible and see if that is similar with what we have today in Igbo land. Okay, children of God, let's look at what the Bible says about a Dibia. And most of the things, the instructions that were given to the Dibias were written in the book of Leviticus. Okay. It says that the priest must not make bald spot on his head, or shave off the edges of their beard, or make cuts in their body. That's Leviticus chapter 21 in verse 5. Leviticus 21 in verse 5. A priest must not shave their hair or have tattoos in their body. You see the same thing in Leviticus chapter 19 in verse 27. Do not shave your beard, do not cut your hair, do not make any spots on your body. The priest is supposed to leave their body the way the Most High created them. Okay, that is how what prophets look like. That is what Elijah, Jeremiah, Isaiah, this is what they look like. Now, it also states clearly that a priest should not touch any dead body except that of their close relation. You can see that in the book of Leviticus chapter 21 in verse 2. You should not touch any dead body unless it is their close relation. So children of God, let us first of all start with the book of Olaudah, where he describes our Dibias. In the book of Olaudah, he described our Dibias. He said, they calculated our time and foretold events. Okay, they calculated time and foretold events. Like I said, Dibias have different offices. Some calculate time, some foretell events, some make rain, some are healers. They do different things. And then he said, they wore their beards, and when they died, they are succeeded by their sons. They wore their beards. They don't cut their beards. That is how Dibias of old in Igbo land look. They don't cut their beards. Okay. He said, none accompanied their funeral, but those of the same profession or tribe. When a Dibia dies, it's people of his other Dibias or people in his tribe, in his kindred, that will go and bury him. This is what Olaudah wrote about the Dibias of old, Igbo Dibias of old. And we have seen something similar in the Bible. That's why I'm telling you, Elijah you are reading about in the Bible was a Dibia. Now, children of God, let me show you something here. Take a look at this picture. For those of you who are not Igbos, this is an opportunity for you to see a prophet, a Levite of the Most High. The person you are seeing in this picture is Dibia Chenwuba Onumba. He is a Dibia, or he was a Dibia, because he's late now. He died in 1951, so it's been a long time. Who you are seeing now is a Levitical prophet of the Most High, a strong Dibia of Igbo land. His name is Chenwuba Onumba. And if you look at it, brothers and sisters, take a look at it. You see clearly he did not cut his beard. Dibias of those days do not cut their beards. You can see that clearly. This is Chenwuba Onumba. He died in 1951. So it's been a while he died. Okay. Look at him. He did not cut his beard. He wore his garment clearly. And he did his Dibia. He did. If you, I won't want to talk about a whole lot of this because let me leave it for whoever is writing his autobiography. But the truth of the matter is that this prophet you're seeing, this Chinwoba you're seeing, is well known for his prophets, for his prophecy. He was instrumental in so many great men in Igbo land, in the birth of so many great men in Igbo land. People like Chuba Okadibo were named after him. Most of you who know Chuba Okadibo, he was named after this prophet you're seeing right here. This is a servant of the Most High God. This is a prophet, a Levite, a direct descendant of the Levitical order. Children of God, can you guess where Chinwoba is from? Can anybody guess? He's from a village that is called Ivite. I mean, I get tired of saying this. When I say Ivite, Ivite means Levite. That's what the people of Ivite are, the Levites of every community. The Levites that is attached to every community. That's what Ivite is. Chinwoba is from Ivite in Aguleri. Aguleri is the the tribe of Gad. But the Ivite people in Aguleri, they are the tribe of Levi that's attached to the tribe of Gad. That's where Chinwoba is from. He's from Ivite Aguleri. I was overjoyed when I went to Chinwoba's house. There were lots of them are now Christians, but I was overjoyed when I heard that, well, at least one of his grandsons is still a Dibia. His son was also a powerful Dibia. That one is late as well. I think he died in the 70s. But one of his grandsons, who is alive today, after his education and everything, he came back and became a Dibia. So I'll be delighted to go and meet him, to continue the research. Children of God, who you are seeing is a direct descendant of Aaron, a direct descendant of the Levitical order. That's what you're seeing right now. This is a picture of him. So for those of you who insult our Dibias, look, I'm not saying that all Dibias are saints. One thing that I was told by every Dibia I talked to, a Dibia is not only natural, a Dibia can also be learned. You can go and learn to be a Dibia. And even in the Bible, that is stated. It's not only people from the tribe of Levi that are prophets. There are others too that are not from the tribe of Levi that become prophets. For instance, Elijah was not from the tribe of Levi, but he became a prophet. So there are people who can learn to be a Dibia. There are also Dibias who misuse their powers, who misuse their ability. I'm not saying that all Dibias are saints, but that does not mean that the career is not of God. It is of the Most High, and we should be aware of that. So I will encourage each and every one of you, just pay a Dibia a visit. I'm not saying most of you will be extremely scared to do that, but just pay a Dibia a visit. Sit down, let the Dibia just talk to you. I'm not saying that you're going to get all the solutions to all your problems. No. If me personally, the first time I went to a Dibia just inquiry, Igbo, you understand? The first time I did it, what I was told to do by a Dibia, I didn't do it. I'm that stubborn, okay? I wanted to see what will happen if I don't do it. And brothers and sisters, that will be a story for another day. When I didn't do that thing I was told to do, if I tell you what happened to me that day, you will not believe it. But that's a story for another day. Because sometimes if we sit down, it will be as if we don't have testimony. It will be like it's only the Christians that have testimony. Those people who worship the God of Abraham in our tradition, when we begin to give you testimony here, you will run. But anyway, this is my video on the Dibias, Children of the Most High. This won't be the last video on Dibias, because this is a living research. There are still some good Dibias out there. The forces of the Most High that act on our Dibia, they're still there. They are still there. The spirit of our Dibias of old is waking up people right now. I mean, I see people on it. There's one brother on YouTube that was talking about his ancestor, his great grandfather that was a Dibia, and then his tabernacle, his obi, was invaded and things stolen, and then later on they brought it back. So the spirit of our ancestors is waking up our people right now. There are some of you whose ancestors or whose grandfather or great grandfather or even mother's father is a Dibia, and that spirit will come back. That spirit is still there. According to what the Dibia told me, if you abide by the ways, the righteousness, the problem is that most people who are called to be Dibia don't want to live that life of righteousness. They are scared of living the life of righteousness. But if you abide by that, the powers of the Most High that worked for our ancestors, it will work for you, is still there. And that's really encouraging for everyone who is concerned about this. May the Most High bless us.